Let's get this turkey basted. Thrifting for a bathroom remodel. Talk about that as well as helping out your appraiser when it comes to buying or refinancing. And Cupertino House of the Week, Willow Glen House of the Week, Luxury House of the Week, and the 12 Bay Area Sales Report. Helping out the appraiser. An appraiser is supposed to be a third party, unbiased professional opinion of the value of your home, whether it's a condominium, a mobile home, a single family home, or even commercial property. An appraiser comes in and tells the bank what they believe the value of that house or that property is worth. I talk to Ryan Lundquist quite often. He's an appraiser up in Sacramento, and he's been doing it for a long time. He knows his job. If you come to the appraiser and say, hey, I need you to make it worth this much or this little, you're influencing him. You got to be careful about what you say to an appraiser, because he's not supposed to be influenced any which way. Doesn't mean you can't give him comps and say, this is why I think my house is worth this much, or these are the improvements that I've done over time. I've owned this house for 20 years. I've done this and this, and here are the improvements, so they can get an absolute value to justify the value they're presenting to the bank. What are some things you can do? If you're buying or you need to justify why the house is being sold or refinanced at that value, the lender can't have any influence on it, but you can, since it's your house. That's illegal. You can go to jail for that, and he can lose his license. If you're doing a refinance, there's no reason not to look at what values are out there and what recent comps are and show that to the lender. If you're doing any kind of improvement, like a new kitchen, roof, windows, and you want to refinance and add that value to your house, you absolutely should do that. Clean up the yard, get rid of all the cobwebs, make your house look good. They're going to come in and have a first impression, just like a buyer would. Make sure you get your house ready to sell. Dirty dishes in the sink, I don't think they care. If you're having guests, you would clean up your house. If you have an appraiser over, make sure it looks presentable. I went through a house this weekend. You can see they were repairing cracks in the walls, but they hadn't actually painted it. The carpet was old, torn, stained, and run down. Why wouldn't you sell it or change that out before you put it on market? I get it as is, but then you're losing thousands of dollars of value versus a couple $100. Think about it. Curb appeal, make sure it's nice and clean. And by the way, be there when you leave. Make sure you take your pets and animals. But as he comes into the house, hand him your comps, hand him the list of improvements you've done over time, and get out of the way. Say, thank you. I'll come back in about 20, 30 minutes. And he'll say, oh, it'll only take me 10. Next thing, 5 steps for an kitchen makeover. When I first breezed over this article, it made it sound like he was thrifting to remodel. You can go to the clearance center at Home Depot and pick up a cabinet. But like, we love the concrete look as well. That was achieved for just $200 by pouring level quick concrete right over tile counters. Don't do that. Tear off the old stuff, put some granite counters. It's going to cost you about $200, and it'll look just as nice, if not better, than dusty concrete. Be careful what you do out there. I don't think I'd ever do that. Paint your cabinets. Paint them. I was looking at my kitchen cabinets, and they're 5 or 6 years old already, and they're throwing sign of wear and tear and children glomming on them and chipping paint. It needs a once-over. Wood is a little dated unless it's set up the specific way. Right? So if it looks like you made it in 1990 or the early 2000s, maybe it's time to paint. If your house is original in 1970s, maybe it's time to paint the cabinets. Lighting, get rid of this fluorescent. Just get rid of them. Nobody likes the fluorescent. They're old. They're actually more expensive now. Go to LED, get some can lighting, make it look nice, make it look representable. And here's you can get the can lighting, but you can also get LED puck lights. They're like $12, $15 a piece. The old ones used to cost a couple $100 because you had to buy the can and the protector. It was a big production. And then you can get retrofit ones. It was a pain in the ass. I just retrofitted my entire house with LEDs. It was much brighter, and it looks new and modern. Something to think about. Get rid of the old hardware, put in some new hardware, or refinish your hardware. Yes, you can paint it, you can spray paint it, make it look nice and new. Right? If your floor is looking old and dated, or you have shag carpets, get rid of that. Put some tile in. Don't try to match the wood floor. It can be expensive, but just redo it. Same thing with shower. Same thing with your toilet. Your toilet is old and grimy. Get rid of it and put a new one in. I know it's expensive, but it's worth every penny because you'll get to enjoy it a little bit more. Enough said. This part of this episode is brought to you by the Home Inspection Checklist. If you're thinking about doing a honey-do list, selling your house, or getting things done around your house, download this Home Inspection Checklist. These are the things that home inspectors will look for when they inspect your house. Rat poop, air conditioning, make sure your air conditioning works, make sure your heating works, make sure your dishwasher, make sure your plugs work, make sure there's no cracks. Right? Get all that done. And if you do sell your house and you do those improvements, make sure you disclose it. I would rather scare away a crappy buyer and find the right buyer and wait a little bit longer than not disclose the improvements you did, just to protect yourself. Cupertino House of the Week, Barnhart Ave, not my listing, built in 2016. It's huge, 2,900 square feet. It's $4.2 million. 5 bedrooms, 4.5 baths, right off of Lawrence Expressway and near Mitty. That's a pretty house. I love that granite. A good granite is going to last a lifetime. You could put hot stuff on it. That's soapstone. That's Funkalula. So there you go. Cupertino House of the Week. This is Willow Glen House of the Week. And the reason why I picked it is because it's walking distance to Lincoln Ave. 3 bedroom, 2 bath, built in 1936. But I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised at how updated this house is. Because look, you can tell that this was the original house and it became the Winchester Mystery House of Britton Ave. So yeah, nice. Not a big fan of the gray tile backsplash. And they put in that gray flooring. It looks like it's LP, the vinyl. Guys, don't do the vinyl. Not when you're selling your house. That's a little busy looking. I think this was fixed. It's flipped. I showed houses this weekend and my buyers were using this checklist because it was allowing them to go through a few different houses and remember what they liked, what they didn't like, what needed work, that kind of thing. And that's what's great about this. So download that. The link is down below. What is this one? Oh, Luxury House of the Week, Mount Eaton Road. It's a bit of a drive. I used to drive this road when I was a kid. I used to have a little Honda Accord and just drive that road all the time. Fun times, good memories. Look at that. That looks like a hotel. Wow. Look at that office. I would love to be in that office. I just don't have $20 million. Real quick, Bay Area sales report. Santa Clara reached over $18 billion in sales volume last week. Congratulations, Santa Clara County. San Mateo is $1 billion short of that. However, their houses sell for a little bit more, 2.5 million versus Santa Clara's 2 million. Volume of sales in Alameda and Contra Costa are bumping up. 7,400 and 7,300 homes in contracts year to date. Santa Clara has 8, but if you look at San Mateo or Solano and Sonoma, they're at less than half of that. So Alameda and Contra Costa is definitely the place to be. And if you look, San Mateo is showing 133% over list price. San Francisco is still at 10% over list price, and Alameda is popping 22 right now. So Alameda County seems to be popping really hard. Is it a good place to buy? Absolutely. You're out of the Silicon Valley heat. You're out of the high cost of living. Average price is 1.5 versus 2.3. So yeah, it's a good place to live. And you get the bay heat sink. The bay cools down the weather, so you don't need air conditioning as much as you do here